Hi, hi.
It's BnB Anime, and we're back again for another episode of Anime.
What? We do anime here?
We do. Sometimes. We get there eventually.
Yeah, it's only getting worse as we go along, unfortunately.
It really is. 45 minutes of bants, 15 minutes of anime.
Yeah. It's fine. Everything's fine. This is only the, fourth, fifth time we've gotten together this week for some shape, form, or fashion.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, it's fine.
We're sick of each other.
Speak for yourself.
I'm offended. I'm actually having the best time. How could you say that to me?
I mean, okay, to be fair, I would also be sick of me, so I understand your perspective on the matter.
Nah, I'm not sick of you. I'm just sick. So fucking cool, my guy.
Oh my goodness. I feel like a major weight has been lifted off of my shoulders.
Why?
Oh, because last night is done and over with.
Oh, that's true.
Literally, like, after we got done recording that, which, by the way, for those that were not present, you should be present for whenever we actually do things. But we have officially recorded the first episode of BnB Gaming. It'll be up at some point. We make no promises because at this point we don't fucking know as to when it's going to go up. But it was done, and literally as soon as we all got done, Dakota called me and we talked for like an hour, and then I passed the fuck out.
Oh.
Like, I was done. I have been wound so tight for the past couple of weeks, like trying to make sure that everything was as perfect as I could possibly make it.
Yeah.
And then I just died after it was done. I could not anymore after that.
Yeah.
I didn't even set an alarm. I'm surprised I made it on time to church this morning.
Uh-oh.
That's how bad it was.
Sorry, God, I needed a nap.
I mean, I feel like of all days, that would have today would have been the one understanding, but no, I woke up, I made it on time, everything was fine, and yeah, new fancy logos made, and I'm pleased with how it turned out.
Yeah, they look great.
Big preach. I worked somewhat hard on it.
I worked mildly hard on it.
I have literally done nothing from the time I've gotten home from church except draw, and then after I got done drawing, it was just throwing it into Canva and making it look pretty.
Brad tried his okayest.
Yeah, I'm the world's okayest Brad. I'm gonna get a trophy with that on it.
You know what? There's a heck of a lot of Brads out there. So be to the okayest is.
Yeah, you know what? It's fine.
It is a thing.
I'm the world's okayest DM. I'm the world's okayest streamer. I'm the world's okayest Brad. I am just okay.
A-okay.
Yeah. But how was work? This is small talk is hard at this point.
Yeah, work was work. I went there this morning and made some coffee. Cleaned things because we're getting a follow-up audit from our previous audit where they check that we audited the audit things.
Now, you see, typically whenever that happens to us, it's because we did bad on the audit. So is it just a checkup
really
on
good.
y'all? Hey,
yeah,
look at that.
We did really good on our audit. It's just that our new, I was going to say regional director, but that is way too fancy for a coffee chain. I guess the manager person who does the managing above my manager.
Uh-huh, yeah.
They are kind of new in their job position.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like they are a little bit eager beaver to go around and make sure that everything is the best, you know?
Makes sense. All right, I see where they're coming from.
Yeah, in like a year's time, I'm sure that they won't be auditing the audits. But like right now, they are.
I mean, it's fine. It all makes sense.
Yeah, but it was fine. And we just had to do a lot of cleaning. Or, well, yes, we had to do cleaning, but also I made the team do cleaning because my wrist has been sore. So like last time when we were getting audited, I did all of the gross stuff because I was like, I don't want to make people being paid minimum wage do that.
Uh-huh, yeah.
But today I was like, sorry guys, I have to pull the chronic pain card. I can't do it today.
Well, hopefully pain will be fixed very, very soon.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Well, literally not fingers crossed. I'm not allowed to do that.
I mean, makes sense.
Yeah. I had to clean gums off the bottom of tables. Gums Gums.
There are gums on the bottom of tables. Wow.
Like gum. Yeah. Because people are disgusting.
People are fucking disgusting.
Like, why would you do that? You do know that somebody who's being paid barely over minimum wage is going to have to clean that off, right? Like with a knife that then we're going to serve you things with. It'll be sanitized, but it's still the same knife.
Yeah, I don't think people care. People are just disgusting. The fact that we work in like some sort of retail environment, people are disgusting.
Yeah. Like, I already knew people were disgusting because I cleaned those bathrooms. But like, really? Come on.
Get your shit together, people.
Get your shit together. And the thing is that I know I also live in Canada, which is like decent in the ratio of like public hygiene and you know, like there's places that are far worse because of cultural differences where they like believe that it's the employee's job to do those things, you know?
Yeah.
People over here do have more awareness than other places about that. But also I'm like, can I go move to that place where they banned gum because it was like ruining the streets?
I mean, sure, why not?
I think that's Dubai and they won't want me there. I'm too queer, but
you know what? Valid point. Valid point.
But yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Everything's fine.
Yeah. And they're also getting rid of our most popular roast of bean.
What?
Yeah, I found out day before yesterday they're discontinuing the one that literally a guy orders a 5-pound bag a month.
That's a lot of bean.
It's a lot of bean. And then we had another guy ordered 2 of our small bags every 2 weeks. He would come in and buy them. Sorry, my guy.
No, apologies. That you have our deepest condolences here at the BnB Anime Podcast.
Yeah, no more bean.
No more bean. That's sad.
Yeah. And now we have 4 light roasts and only 2 dark roasts. Like, what the fuck?
Where's the medium roast?
We do have a medium. We have 2 mediums and a bold, which is technically a medium, but we brew it stronger.
A bald?
Bold.
Bald.
Bold.
Bald.
So are you.
I was about to say, how dare you bring my hairline into this? I am sensitive about my receding hairline, thank you.
It's a marble roast, so it's a light and a dark combined.
Oh, so caffeine.
And flavor.
Yeah, makes sense. Makes sense.
Less acidity, more depth, kind of smoky, not fruity. I think it has notes of caramel. I don't know. I don't remember.
I barely qualify as a person who drinks coffee, let alone somebody who has a like natural taste for coffee. So I cannot weigh in on this. Oh God, why am I dying? Everything's fine. But yeah, I cannot weigh in on this because I am big dumb.
I can smell them more than I can taste them. Like
you're definitely a step ahead of me then.
Yeah, you can't smell nothing.
Nope, I am just fucked up.
Oh, poor Brad. But like, if it's really fruity, I can taste it. But like, for our dark roasts, we have one that's really smoky and it smells like tobacco. We have another one. Yeah, we have another one that smells like. To me, it smells like manure.
Oh.
Like it smells like farm, you know.
Uh-huh.
And I don't know if it actually does or if I've just made that association in my head and now that's how I mentally describe it, but it smells like farm to me.
Just hello, would you like to try our newest coffee? It smells like shit.
I mean I said it to a coworker. I said, "Does this smell like manure to you?" And they agreed. But I also don't know if I like put that thought into their head and then they smelt it and also, you know what I mean? So like I'd have to get someone who has a neutral nose to smell it and be like, what does it smell like?
How strong of a smell is it?
It's subtle. It's definitely a note, but like it smells like, I guess what it smells like is like, I guess it's a grassy smell, but it's like a hay grassy smell with like an earthy tone to it, and that's why I think it smells like manure, because it smells like fertilizer, like cow pats that you put in your lawn. Like that's what I think it is. So I think it's like earthy grass is what it actually smells like. But to me, like my primary school was next to a horses stable and opposite a sheep farm, and like I also then spent the past like 12 years before this in Alberta, which is cow country. Like I know what farms smell like. And I just associated it with farms. So I'm like, it smells like shit.
I see.
You know, but I don't think that's what they're going for. But I think to city people, I mean, I'm in Toronto, like they probably don't associate it the same way that I do. But like I smelled that and I was like, yeah, that smells like shit.
I kind of want to smell it just to see if I can smell it.
It smells like shit. If you make a soy matcha and you add in peppermint shot, it tastes like a peppermint arrow.
What is a peppermint arrow?
Like the chocolate. Here, I'll send you a picture of it.
I was gonna say I don't eat mint chocolate. So I don't know.
Maybe it's like a European thing. No, it's Nestle. I feel like you should know it.
I guess we're gonna find out soon as it crosses my dashboard.
Arrow.
Oh, I know what you're talking about now.
Yeah. Soy
Never had
matcha
that.
With a bit of peppermint in it. Tastes like one of those.
Interesting. Yeah, I've never had those, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. So that was my day. Scraping gum off of underneath of tables, cleaning the bases of tables, ordering people around.
That's the perks of being the boss, though.
I mean, I'm only the sub-boss, so my boss tells me to boss people, and then I boss people.
I mean, still the boss. You're the boss of the podcast. You boss me to do things.
Boss Blue is a boss.
Yay.
I'm nobody's boss at work, though, because I have no authority. I just get to look at people and go, do the thing that I want you to do.
That's authority.
Well, then they go, fuck no, because they're all sassy little bitches.
But they still do it.
And then I cry, and then they do it because they. No, I'm just kidding. My team are great.
Oh.
Like one of my team today, I was having her clean this skirting board around the whole cafe because for some reason they thought it was an amazing idea. Guess what color they're going to make the floor skirting board around an entire cafe?
White.
Yeah.
Sounds about right.
Yeah. So whenever we get anybody from head office coming in, they go, it's like dirty around the edges. And I'm like, have you seen the mop? Like, why, I wonder, do you think it's dirty around the edges? Huh?
Huh?
Oh, I forgot to bring the cardboard boxes home. I'm packing up my apartment and I got my boss to set aside some cardboard boxes for me. And then I just left them in the office.
That's okay. You work tomorrow, right?
Yeah. But
Oh,
still.
see, you get them tomorrow. That's fine.
Yeah.
Nobody needs to pack on a Sunday anyway.
True. I wasn't gonna. They were gonna enter my abode and then find a corner and stay there until last minute.
Then figure out whatever corner they're in next to the wrist brace.
The wrist brace is currently on my wrist.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah.
You
2
do
days
it.
in a row. 3 days. 2 days in a row. 2 days in a row. I nearly got excited. It's only 2 days.
I was going to say, the wrist brace made an appearance on the podcast yesterday or whenever it goes live for the people listening. So I can double check and make sure that she's doing what she's supposed to be doing.
Right.
Oh.
It needs a wash. It's covered in matcha.
I mean, at least it's delicious. Maybe. I don't know.
It's...
Matcha's delicious.
Matcha is delicious. Combine it with a wrist brace?
Probably not, but matcha's delicious.
No, we have Kyoto matcha.
Fancy matcha. I gotcha. I do the words. I do the things.
Mm.
You know what I don't do, though?
Play football.
You read my mind. Because soccer is one of the sports that I could never play. Too much running for me.
I loved it growing up.
Uh-huh.
And I don't know if that's just an English thing, but like I went to matches when I was little with my dad. I watched it on the telly. Even after we emigrated, like me and my dad would sit down and we would watch it together. My brother was never big into it, so it was like a me and dad thing.
Mm-hmm.
I went to the Women's World Cup. I went to the under-25s when it was here in Canada. Like, I saw Canada play. I've seen England play. Like, I have shirts. Like, football was always a thing for me.
Mm-hmm.
But I've kind of gotten out of it since moving out on my own. Like, I haven't kept up with it as much.
Which would make sense.
Yeah, it's just so expensive to watch it is the issue that I have. Like, you can't, like, watch a live stream of it on Twitch, you know? Like, you have to buy a TV and pay for the channel for it, but you can't buy just the one channel that you want. You have to buy a bundle, and I'm not doing that.
Definitely not worth it.
Yeah, so I'm like, I would just rather like there's no real point. I don't feel like the need to just catch the highlights for things because like I want to watch the game. Like I want to watch the whole match, and like just catching up on the highlights every now and again isn't my vibe. Like that's not. There's no like the culture around it is what makes football so fun.
Yeah,
and you don't get that culture when you're watching it just a clip on YouTube, you know.
which is very true. It's pretty much that same way with all sports as well. Like
Yeah.
you just don't get it. Like unless you're there, it's something else.
Yeah, and it's like I mean, there's a TFC here, the Toronto Football Club. I forgot the word. The club.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And like I would absolutely go to a game if I had friends to go with, but like I'm so out of the loop of it that going by myself doesn't feel that appealing, and none of my friends want to go because they're Canadians.
We only care about hockey.
Canadian ladies care a lot about football. Ranked like I think number 6 in the world right now, like very high in the rankings. Canadian ladies do fantastically. Christy Sinclair is great. I saw her play live. Like she's in commercials.
Ooh, fancy.
And, right? For a female sports person to be in commercials, she is sponsored by like Nike. I don't know if she's sponsored by Nike, Adidas, one of them, you know, Adidas.
I like Adidas.
It's funny because I say Nike, which is the American version, as opposed to Nike, which is the British version. But I say Adidas as opposed to Adidas, which is the American version.
It's because Adidas is correct.
I say Adidas.
That just sounds like too many extra syllables.
It's the same amount of syllables, isn't it? Adidas. Yeah.
It just sounds so much more harsh. Like it's more harsh syllables.
We speak a Germanic language. Everything we say is harsh.
No, German is dramatic.
German is dramatic. You're right.
English, everything's fine. Everything just rolls well. Then you got Germans that always sound like they're shouting and they're just like, oh, have a good day.
It's because we have the influence of our Latin words and our Romantic words, and then our Welsh and Irish and Scots and the Gaelic and the Gallic and the whole 9 yards.
Yeah, the secret 11 herbs and spices. Got it.
Yeah, the garlic, the oregano. That's another one.
Aluminium foil.
Aluminium.
Aluminum.
Oregano, oregano.
Oregano.
Orangutan. Orangutan. Because it's an orangutan, not
That's
an
a gorilla.
orangutan. It's a what?
That's a gorilla.
A gorilla. That's a...
Oh, also, I'm surprised I didn't catch shit from you last night.
What for?
Whenever I was doing Greta's voice and I was, how you would say, properly enunciating room. I'm surprised I didn't catch shit from you.
Because I only notice when you say it wrong.
I was purposefully doing that too. Like I was purposefully mispronouncing the word last night. So it's fine.
Yeah.
The rest of the time, I say it properly.
No, you say it wrong.
I say it properly. It's room.
What is it? No, I've forgotten.
What have you forgotten?
Oh, saw.
Saw?
Is that it? Saw, and there was another word, and I was like, they sound the same to me.
Sore and sore?
No, like, I can't remember. There's 2 words that are very similar that sound the same when I say them, but don't sound the same when Americans say them. And I think it's sore and something else.
I don't get it.
Whore! No, I'm just
Sore and the wahooer.
Well, then there's hour and hour.
Yeah?
As opposed to hour and R.
Wait, what?
H-O-U-R and O-U-R.
Yeah, hour and hour.
Yeah. Hour and R. And then R and R.
Who would pronounce that as R?
I do. Like, it's our belongings.
Our belongings.
Yeah. Sometimes I say our if I'm speaking to Canadians, but if I'm talking to my parents, I'd be like, oh, it's ours.
Huh. I don't know. I don't get it.
Yeah.
Language is fun.
Yeah. It was a comedy sketch, that one. About hours.
Hours? Days? Minutes? 525,600 minutes?
How do you measure a year?
days.
You measure in love, Brad.
I don't know what love is.
Daylight, in sunsets, in sepsis.
Stepsis, got it.
Serve coffee. You measure in sepsis.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Uh-huh. The mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell.
Oh, yeah. Aren't plant cells naked? Isn't that a conversation that we had?
Plant cells are naked, yeah.
Oh.
They don't have a skin on them. They're all naked.
Oh, my God. That's so scandalous.
All of the animal cells look at the plant cells and they go, ew, you're naked.
Oh, my God. How dare you?
Oh, my God.
What the hell?
I learned today that mold is an iceberg.
Wait, what?
So there's a video about a lady talking about cheese and how she was like, just cut off the edge of the cheese if it's moldy and then it's fine to eat. And then a microbiologist was like, so I hate to break it to you, but mold is an iceberg. If you can see the tip of it, the rest of it is in the middle. Cutting off the edge is cutting off the tip of the iceberg. You're eating all the mycelium. Have luck with your food poisoning. I was like... She said it just like that as well. She was American, funny enough. And
what? What?
Yeah, I was watching that video, and there you go, learned a new thing.
I have also learned a new thing, but also, if something's moldy, throw it the fuck out.
Yeah.
Don't be gross. Don't be stupid. What the fuck?
Stupid. Unless it's supposed to be. Like blue cheese.
No.
Blue cheese is moldy.
I know. Don't eat it. Just no.
Or that one cheese that's like really moldy and has maggots in it.
What?
Do you not know about maggot cheese? It's disgusting.
That will physically make me ill.
Kasumatsu.
Yeah, no. You see, anything like just anything to do with maggots just makes me ill. Like I'll vomit. Just hard no.
Sardinian pronunciation. Literally rotten/putrid cheese.
Yeah. Gross. Hard no.
It's, yeah. So it's created by leaving a whole pecorino cheese outside with part of the rind removed to allow the eggs of the cheese fly, the Pilophilia casei, to be laid in the cheese. The female P. casei, I'm going to say that like acai, can lay more than 500 eggs at one time. The eggs hatch and the larvae begin to eat through the cheese. The acid from the maggot's digestive system breaks down the cheese's fats, making the texture of the cheese very soft. By the time it's ready for consumption, a typical kasumatsu will contain thousands of these maggots.
Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah. It's considered by the Sardinian aficionados to be unsafe to eat when the maggots in the cheese have died. Because of this, only cheese with the maggots inside that are still alive is usually eaten, although allowances are made for cheese that has been refrigerated, which results in the maggots being killed.
What the fuck?
When the cheese has been fermented enough, it is often cut into thin strips and spread on moistened Sardinian flatbread to be served with a strong red wine.
What the fuck?
You're welcome for that lovely piece of information that I happen to have had in my brain and then went to Wikipedia to confirm.
Yeah, no, I'm good. Oh, that will now live somewhere in my cranium till the rest of time, and I don't know what I'm gonna do with that, but that's gonna be there. So thanks for that.
You're welcome. I told you I should start a cheese podcast.
As you should. You know what? You and Bree, y'all can make that work. Since oh, by the way, everyone, this is my last episode of BnB Anime. I was fired yesterday, so this is where we are. So it's been a pleasure. I'm glad we could
cheese podcast next week.
Yeah, I'm glad that I could end on a sports anime since it's your favorite. So at least I'm going out on my shield.
Yeah. It's not going to be an anime podcast next week. It's going to be cheese, Blue and Brie cheese edition. Electric Boogaloo.
Yes. Just you got to spell your name like BLEU. Sacre bleu.
Sacre bleu.
Black. Speaking of blue lock.
Should we try this again?
Yeah, one. Oh my god, I can speak. I'm not tired. Everything is fine.
Everything is awesome. Everything is cool when you're part of a team. Blue Lock.
Yeah, Blue Lock. Second cour, so everything is exactly the same as the first season. Manga written by Munayuki Kanashiro. Ran from April, or not April. I'm literally reading. August 1st of 2018 to present for a total of 24 volumes. Anime directed by Tetsuaki Watanabe and Shunsuke Ishikawa, and ran from October 9th, 2022 for present for a total of 24 episodes. And we are picking up from episode 12 through 24 on this one.
Yeah. And I'm just trying to find... Wow. Wow. If I wrote down the information from the last time that we covered it, because it's not on... I did. I said it's not on spreadsheet. Because I didn't put down the drop rate on it because it wasn't finished yet.
Yeah.
I couldn't compare with the previous ratings out of 10 to see what it was at previously and what it is now. So it was at an 8.7 out of 10 on Anime Planet, or an 8.27 out of 10 on My Anime List with an, what's that average? That's an average of...
It's like 8.5, give or take.
8.5, yeah, 8.5 we'll go with. Which is now at an 8.35 on My Anime List, or an 8.68 out of Anime Planet, which gives it an average of 8.52 out of 10. So it's fluctuated a little, but it's middled out. Because on Anime Planet, it was scoring higher, and now it's a little lower. And then on My Anime List, it was a little lower, and now it's a little higher. So it's kind of middled out. People have given it more of an average, which is how averages work.
That is exactly how that works.
Yeah, so it's middled out a little bit more between the two sites, which is interesting.
Oh.
It has what?
I'm good. Everything's fine.
Exploding?
Slightly.
Okay, have fun. It's got a drop rate of 6.63%, which is about average for a 2-cour anime season. 1-cour tends to have lower drop rates. This is also a sports anime that follows a slightly different formula to other sports animes that we've seen, especially ones that are super popular right now. Things like Haikyuu have a definite level of comedy and like jovialness to them, whereas this feels more serious and almost, I know this is silly, it feels more anime than like Haikyuu, if that makes sense.
Oh,
like,
most definitely.
Yeah, it's not realistic at all in its portrayal of skills or anything, and it's giving me more of that iShield Onijuichi or iShield 21 vibe, or the Prince of Tennis vibe of like old school sports anime, in the sense that like you've got skills that are not, no, well, they're not physically possible, because they are physically possible, but they are enhanced by like flashes of light and people's eyeballs changing color and demons haunting their bodies. Like this, it's like that kind of thing, as opposed to like Haikyuu or even Free or those other aspects where they have a more slice of life element to them outside of the sport, but also are more realistically portraying like high school athletics.
It's take Haikyuu, but give it Demon Slayers like breathing techniques, like that type of thing.
Yeah. We're also working on a different scale to animes like Haikyuu, because Haikyuu is a competition about Japanese kids competing in nationals, or like that's the best that they can really do. They're not dreaming higher than that. Whereas Blue Lock is featuring around kids that are trying to become the best striker in the world. So they are in this elite training program to train them up to be part of Japan's national team, but to go further than that and compete on a scale of the World Cup, right?
Yeah.
So the scale that we're looking at is different and far more dramatic, which I also think changes the way that the show is perceived. Like, this is so much more serious, even though it does have that element of like fantasy attached to it with the like sci-fi designs and stuff. But it is like it's more intense than like a Haikyuu or something. And Haikyuu gets incredibly intense, don't get me wrong, but it has release breaks to it. And that's why I'm not entirely surprised that the drop rate is a little bit higher than I would like normally see. It's still not high at a 6.63, but I'm not surprised by it because this is an intense viewing experience as opposed to somebody who's going into it after watching a Haikyuu kind of thing and then going into this. This is not the same genre, in my opinion. Like, it's the same overall genre, but the subcategory is different.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's rated APG-13, which I don't think it necessarily has to be. Like, there's nothing in it that is a content warning for anyone who is under the age of 13. I just think that it is, like, quite... Like I said, like, the idea of it is that it's a little bit more intense with the, like, level of competition, and it's like you have to pay attention to it more. It's not super entertaining. I feel like people below 13 would be bored. They would get distracted, you know?
Yeah, it does feel like it's aimed at more of a more adult audience.
Yeah.
Because it focuses a lot more on like the psychological aspect and like how that leads to the physical aspect.
Yeah.
That type of thing.
And also there's some harsh competition in there, and that's something that obviously like kids can experience, but it is you're more aware of everything that's on the line when you're an adult, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So with that, well, okay, I'll give you a quick overview. I kind of did give you an overview anyways, but I'll give you a more detailed overview just in case you didn't catch the last episode with the first cour. So this is about a young kid, I say young kid, he's like 17, Isagi, who is he's a young footballer. He wants to be the best striker in the world, and he gets scouted to join this group, this training program called Blue Lock. In this training program, they only host strikers, and it is a intense, like boarding school situation featured solely around football, where they go through different stage trials, slowly eliminating strikers to narrow it down to the top strikers of their generation across the country. These strikers are then or the best striker, the number one striker, will then be put forth as the number one striker of Japan and sent off into the world as a representative of Japan. The reason why that they decided to do this, and the guy who runs the company, Ego Waffle.
Yeah. Every time I saw his name, I was like, heh, Waffle.
I know, yeah, that's what I was thinking too. He decided to put this all together because he was saying that Japan has a history of having a really good team. They've got really good other players, but they've always failed to have that star quality striker that really brings the team forth. And whenever they've had strikers that have done really well, when they send them out internationally, they can't compete on an international scale. They're not good enough internationally when comparing themselves up to a Messi or Ronaldo, right? And they do use real footballers in this anime, like they're describing actual legends. And so they're saying that they want to funnel this into the youth program so that they can then train up their perfect striker to then actually represent Japan, because they're in this cycle of having a person who looks good, making all of this merch for him, making him a huge hit in Japan, sending him off internationally. He plays for a year or two internationally, then comes home when he's not made a success of himself on an international scale, saying that he struggled with cultural changes and language barriers, and therefore plays in the rest of his career in the Japanese leagues. And they're stuck in the cycle of doing that, but he's got all of these investors that are like, but that's what makes his money, and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, so he starts this program, which is where Isagi is meeting people who are part of this under-18 striker selection, and in this competition to be the best of the best.
Yeah.
Which takes us to chicken hats.
I'm grabbing that other one too.
Oh no.
Big preach. I greatly appreciate that. Thank you very much. It's okay. Could be worse. We could have talked about buckets.
Yeah.
So how do we break this one down?
We
just Do we do what
Yeah.
we haven't done and like actually go through like a short scale of what happens?
I mean, yeah, we can do if you want. I mean, like it's kind of more of the same, really.
Yeah, it's instead of having teams of 11, they have to the initial bit of the second selection is going through like they got to go through an individual training first where they got to score 100 goals, and then after that it's like, all right, y'all got to form a team of 3 and then play 3-on-3 and then 4-on-4, and then once you get through to 4-on-4 and you become 5, then you get to move on. But if you
Yeah,
don't,
if you
you got to
won,
go
you got to
backwards.
steal a player from the other team. If you lost a player and moved down a group. If you ended up a 1-on-1 and you lost, you were out, eliminated.
Yeah.
And there was also a time limit, so if you didn't get to your group of 5 and then 5 all the way through, you were also eliminated.
Well, I think they had it set up to where you would like everybody that could get 5 would get 5.
Yeah.
It's just if you wait too long, then you're not going to have like good players to pick through. So it's strategic, but you get to choose like who you play. Like everybody has to agree on who they play, which is where our first bit happens, where you have Isagi being like, "Yeah, we're gonna take on the big 3 because yeah, that's a smart idea in an anime, but they do good. Like they've scored 4, but they lose because number 1 is just he too good. He way too good. Dude on the kickoff is just like, no, we're not gonna do that, and then just scores off of the kickoff.
Yeah, and that's how they lose Bachira, who was like Isagi's like support system, I guess, kind of.
Yeah, well, I mean, they were each other's support system.
True.
Although, then again, looking at it, I'm still surprised they didn't take Nagi, considering. But I mean, then again, like Bachi was dribbling, but still, like Nagi was kind of the heart and soul out of that bunch.
Yeah, I think it was just that Bachira was the best setup for Rin, as opposed to Nagi is a player in his own right that stands at that point stood on his own 2 legs. Like he would have been another like individual in a team, as opposed to Bachira was the best person to be a team player, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So yeah.
Like Bachira wasn't going to try and ever steal the spotlight from Rin. His sole goal at that point was to just support him.
Yeah. So yeah, they lose Bachira, but then they gain Baro. Am I pronouncing that right? I don't know.
I think so. And he's an egotistical butt who believes that his soul, like he is the only person that can score on the field. He's the only that's his only job. He will never pass the ball. He only wants to, like, he's really, really selfish. And part of this whole thing is about being selfish. It's about finding the ego inside of you to be that star striker, because a striker has to be selfish in some regard, because if they don't think that they're the best person to shoot the ball, then they're going to lose good opportunities, right?
Yeah.
Like, you have to be able to take those risks. Obviously, they have to be calculated risks, but you have to have a level of, like, almost ridiculous confidence to be able to think that you can make that pinpoint shot when a lot of other people would have been discouraged and wouldn't have even tried. You have to at least, like, yeah, like, I can do that no matter what. Like, there's 6 defenders in front of me, I don't give a shit. Like, I'm just gonna, like, shoot it anyways, because there's still that chance that it could go in. And that's kind of what they're training for in this roundabout way, is they're training skill and athleticism as well, but they're also training the mind to get through all of these mental blocks that these characters have, that gives them the ability to stand on an international stage. In the first cour, they had spoken about how the thing that doesn't give them the competitive edge over a lot of their international competitors is that football, for a lot of them, was the only way out of a life where they were struggling to survive.
Yeah.
And that's a true story for a heck of a lot of footballers. And for a lot of kids that aspire to be footballers, is they're, you know, in really poor places, and football is the only way that they can see themselves being able to support their family and change their living circumstances. I think, like, that's Messi's story, I'm pretty sure. Like, he
I
went
think so,
through that.
yeah.
So, that's why they're saying that these Japanese kids who have lived pretty comfortably their whole lives aren't on the same, they don't have the same level of hunger that their international counterparts do have, because for them it was survival, whereas for these Japanese kids it's after school sports, you know?
Yeah.
And I mean, there's definitely an argument there.
Oh, most certainly. Like, I 100% agree.
Yeah, it's an interesting topic of conversation.
Oh yeah, definitely. I 100% see where you're coming from.
Yeah, and especially because like I come from the side of things where like in England, like football definitely does take working class families and like council house kids and stuff and gives them better opportunities in life for sure, but like there's still so much more funding in it and so many more opportunities and like so many more like schools you can go through and all this kind of stuff, to where you're kind of like in England you're given so much more, but yet we're still competing on the international scale, you know what I mean? Like it's interesting.
And it's the same thing here in the States too. Like there's so much more funding behind it. I mean, it's one of those things to where in America, if you can, monetize it, we're going to monetize it.
Yeah.
And so there's definitely a lot of funding behind it and a lot more backing than what you have in a lot of other countries.
Yeah. The States has really been an interesting country to watch in regards to football over the past decade or so, because it wasn't a thing for you guys. Like, it wasn't a sport that you guys entertained. It wasn't something that was on your TVs. It wasn't something that you really worried about. Like, if you didn't make the World Cup, like, it wasn't national news. Like, nobody gave a shit.
Yeah.
But, like, it's slowly starting to infect you guys.
Oh, no, it's massive. Like, the giant arena that was built in Atlanta was kind of like our big stepping stage on it. And here's what I think happened. If I had to take a guess.
Okay.
Somebody, somewhere, shit-talked us and said we probably weren't worth a damn. Because if there's anything I know as an American, the one thing that we don't take is somebody talking shit.
It was me. I did that.
Sounds about right.
Yeah. Because I definitely did. I remember being a kid and being like, America, why are they here? I remember being like that. Everyone kind of had that opinion of America when I was growing up.
Yeah.
It's like, what the fuck are they doing here? They call it soccer. Like, what the fuck?
Exactly.
The rest of the entire world calls it football, except Canada. They also call it soccer.
Yeah, it's one of those things to where, like, that's how we are. That's how we're wired.
Yeah.
So yeah, somebody somewhere talk shit and decided to set off America.
Also, the rest of the world laughs at your World Series, just so you know.
I mean, that's fine.
Yeah, because we go, World Series, ha, it's American. Why is it the World Series? That's so fucking dumb.
Just because there's a lot of international people in baseball, man.
Yeah, but no, because it's not a world competition. It's still just sports teams.
It's because the MLB just signs people from all over the world.
But, like, it's not America versus anybody. It's America versus America.
You can't compete whenever you get bought from another country.
But have a separate one. Have a World Cup.
Yeah, to which the MLB would still continue to poach people.
No, because it's
from all over the world.
Do that. The rules...
No, it's perfectly acceptable.
No, not acceptable citizenship.
It's okay. Baseball's the only sport where there's not a salary cap for the individuals. Fun fact.
Didn't know that.
Yeah, like every other sport has like a specific salary cap for their individuals. Well, like organized team sports anyway, golf doesn't have a salary cap, but that's because you get paid like per competition. Yeah, baseball does not have a salary cap.
Strippers doesn't either.
Is that an organized team sport?
It can be.
Have you ever watched competitive pole dancing?
I have.
That shit's legit, man.
It's so cool.
It really is.
Yeah.
Like, to people listening to this, like, you got to go into it with an open mind because it's not sexual in any way. It's like
athletic.
A legit competitive sport. And oh my goodness.
It's people holding themselves up by nothing but their thighs, feet from the ground.
Yeah. Like it's so good.
It's so cool.
Like I can't remember the last time I was so captivated by something. Like it was just legit.
It's like a cross between rock climbing, dance, and sex.
I mean, yeah, pretty much. It's about accurate.
Yeah, it's so cool. It's so cool.
I don't know how we got on this topic, but we're there.
I would definitely watch an anime about competitive pole dancing.
I'm here for it. Competitive stripping.
Honestly. I mean, you gotta remember where pole dancing's origins come from, and them strippers out there, honestly, I have so much respect for you. your athleticism, the fact that you have to deal with I'm a barista and I have to deal with some customers, so like hats off to you.
Major hats off.
Yeah, mad respect to strippers.
Mad respect. Let's see here. Where were we?
Baro.
Yeah, they got Baro, and then they got Chigiri, and then they lose again.
Yeah.
But this time, Isagi gets taken for some reason or another.
Had an evolution. He became the genius of adaptability.
He has a big brain.
Yeah.
That was the only reason he was taken. He pissed off Rin.
Yeah, well, that's one thing that I actually really like about his character is, so he has this, like, imagery of him being stripped down puzzle piece by puzzle piece and then rebuilding himself puzzle piece by puzzle piece. And he never considered himself to be a genius, but it was commented on in this last core of the season that he is a genius. He is the genius of adaptability. And that makes so much sense to me. Like, he has skilled vision. Like, he's got the same ability that What's It from Dive had about being able to see the dive board. Like, he's just got good vision. And good reaction times. But it's more than that. It's his ability to look at a situation, see who his teammates are, and then, like, understand them and how he should mold himself around them, which makes him the ultimate team player, which isn't necessarily the best quality that you would normally want for a striker, because again, like, strikers don't really have to be team players as much as other players do, like a midfielder or something, because their goal is to be selfish in the sense that they have to believe that they can do anything.
Yeah.
But for him to be able to almost use that midfielder perspective in the position of a striker is a skill that not everyone has, and it's what makes, like, certain players really, really cool. Like, there are players that I grew up watching that started off their careers as strikers, and then as they got older and slower, moved to midfielder positions and then ended up in roles of captains because they followed his same trajectory and mindset of being so adaptable.
It's definitely one of the ways that you can increase your longevity in a sport is to, like, not just keep up with the physical aspect, but the mental aspect. Because the more you learn and, like, grow your game in that regard, the more valuable you are in that particular field.
Yeah. Yeah, it's giving yourself a longer career as opposed to, honestly, you could sacrifice some level of fame to give yourself the longevity. Some people can do both, you know, like, there are people who are just incredible and could do both, but, like, it is almost like a, you know, I'm not going to be as vicious in my position as a striker so that I can maintain where I need to be to then keep myself going. And I think that that's something that Isagi it's a curse and a benefit.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And I don't know, it was really interesting to have that as his depiction.
It was incredibly interesting, but it's also a very fresh perspective considering a lot of the stuff that we've seen. So I like it, and I love the imagery in the show.
Agree. Yeah.
Like, it does, especially the puzzle piece imagery, that shit is smooth.
Yeah, it's really smooth. And one of the things that I like about it the most is that he doesn't necessarily need to be talking about a whole lot of stuff for us to understand what that imagery means. That imagery is so associated in our brains now with him stripping himself down and rebuilding himself and adapting to his environment, that he could just be literally talking about something like, you know, oh, well, you know, Baro wants to do this, strips himself down, builds himself back up again. We understand from that very, like, short sentence and from that imagery that his whole perspective of the game and the team and his athleticism and everything has shifted in that moment. And it's a very efficient way of describing that.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. I will say, though, while that imagery was really cool, the fucking CGI, I hated it.
Oh my god. The CGI of them, like, running whenever it's showing like multiple people running across the field.
It's so bad.
But all I can think of is the fucking what is it, like a foosball table?
Absolutely. Yeah.
All I get from that is just like watching foosball people.
It really is. That's such a good description of it. It's like, you know, when they're doing, like, it's the halftime segment and they're doing that, like, projection of what they predict the second half will look like. It's that. Like,
it literally is.
Yeah, it's fully that. And it's just so upsetting because the rest of the animation is so nice. and then you see that and you're completely drawn out of the anime every single time it pops up.
I will say, though, it is better than Tamayomi's CGI.
Yeah, but like everything is better than Tamayomi. Like
I know, but still, I have to make that point known. Like, even though we are shitting on that CGI,
yeah.
Tamayomi's is way worse.
Yeah, but this is not good by any means.
No, but at least it's so sparingly used.
That's true,
that
but
it's
it was
not
also post-COVID.
But it's, I guess it would depend on like the production, like when they were making this.
Yeah.
Because if they were on more of like a week to week schedule type thing,
Yeah.
then I can understand why.
Mm.
Like they kind of had to do with that to like make it work. Because unless you have like an extensive period of time to get it done, like I feel like that is kind of the best that you can do.
Yeah.
Again, that's just kind of my take on it, because it could have been a lot worse for sure. It's not great, but still it could have been much worse, because we've seen much worse.
We have seen much worse. It could have been much worse. I still am knocking off like 3 points for it.
I mean, like I can still give the show like a 7.5.
Yeah, I think it was just so distracting for me, and I did find the story kind of, well, the ending is predictable. And I say the ending is predictable because they made it so obvious of how, like, stagnant the show was getting. So, because of the system of there being these, like, 3-on-3, 4-on-4, 5-on-5 matches, you end up with the final match with the big, like, 5-on-5 and what's gonna happen, and the options are they lose and Isagi gets picked, or they win. Those are your two options. They cannot lose that game and have somebody other than Isagi get picked, because it is so overdone by that point. Those group-on-group matches are exhausted. It got to the point where I was like, la la, like, I don't really care anymore, because, like, by that point, you've had a 3-on-3 that lost, so then you've had a 2-on-2, then you've had a 3-on-3, then you've had a 4-on-4, and now you've got a 5-on-5. That's 5 matches of the same plot with slightly different characters with the same thing, you know? So they couldn't have lost that match, which made it really obvious as to what was going to happen. And I don't think at that point they were, like, it didn't feel right for them to give them a complete win. So it was quite obvious to me that they were going to lose and that Isagi was going to get picked.
Which I will agree with. It just made the most sense for that particular thing, although it was predictable, for sure.
Yeah, and so that is another reason why I want to take down a point, because I feel like that the best part about sports animes is that they leave you hanging on the edge of your seat, that you don't know whether or not they're going to win or lose, because you don't know whether or not they're going to give you another sad arc, because sometimes you're like, oh, absolutely, they're going to give me a win, finally, I need another win, and then they punch you in the gut with another loss, because that's what they like to do with sports animes, you know? And they'll find a backstory to give you to make it make sense. They'll dig it up from somewhere, you know? And
yeah, most definitely.
Yeah. And so the fact that this was repetitive with a predictable ending and bad CGI left me with an overall slightly disappointed feeling at the end of the anime, which sucks because I love so much about it, but I didn't come out of that last episode like on a high, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. What are your thoughts?
I mean, I'm on the same page with you on a lot of things.
Yeah.
Like, I enjoyed how, I don't know, like, I enjoyed the concept of the show. I enjoyed the animation for the most part. The OP and ED were better in the second half than they were in the first half.
Agreed.
And overall, yeah, it did just kind of fall flat. Like, I still enjoyed myself, minus the CGI. That kind of took me out of it a little bit. But it's still an overall, like, enjoyable time, for sure. But I do still have my gripes and complaints. Most definitely. Yeah.
So you're still at a 7.5?
Let's go 6.5.
That's what I'm at, too, is a 6.5. Is, like, the thing about it is that I think both you and I have very high expectations for sports animes now, because some sports animes that we've watched have just been so incredibly good, but others that we've watched have been so disgustingly bad. And so when we get one that's kind of in the middle ground, we're like, you had so much potential. We were rooting for you. And no, it's just not, it's not living up to the hype, I don't think.
I mean, it's better than a lot of most modern sports anime, but it's not Haikyuu either.
No, yeah.
It felt much more shonen-y than Haikyuu.
Yeah, and I think this is the thing that I was talking about earlier with like the slight genre differences. I think the thing that makes Haikyuu so wonderfully good is the break that you get from the intensity of the sport whenever there's just a slice of life moment, and there's the comedic side of it, there's the bonding outside of the sport, but there's also the bonding in just like casual practice and like getting to know your team members and appreciation for other people that are opposing you. Like, you don't get as much connection to the characters here. You don't get to see them like as intensely on their off time. Like, you get off time moments throughout this show, but it doesn't feel comfortable. There's always this underlying feeling of stress from the environment that they're in, and that provides, like, the viewer is then feeling stressed throughout the entirety of watching the show. And one thing is, like, humans don't like to stay in emotions for very long. Like, we're quick to switch from emotions. And so when you force a viewer to stay in one emotion for a long time, your viewer gets tired. And I feel like that's kind of where I was at with this show, is I was just tired of watching it.
Yeah, I get that 100%.
Yeah. But there's so much good about it. The character design is really good.
Yeah, the character design is good. The animation is impeccable whenever it sticks to, 2D and doesn't go CGI on us.
Yeah.
And like even just the imagery, like we were talking about with Isagi's like puzzle pieces, like that's very well done.
Yeah.
And even the like breathing technique of, how they handle themselves and whatnot, like that's good too. Like it's good imagery overall. It's just do better story.
Yeah. And for the most part, the pacing is pretty decent. I like the fact that internal monologues range drastically from being a quick moment to a half of an episode. And I feel like that they paced them well spaced out with each other. Sometimes they dragged on a little bit, but I think the editing was decent.
Yeah. Voice acting was good across the board.
Yeah. I watched it subbed, and there was an actual Englishman voicing the English character at the end.
Mm-hmm. I watched it subbed and dubbed. Yeah, both were decent. Mm-hmm. I'll give them that.
Yeah, I mean, visually it did get a little tiring just because of the, like, not from the animation side of things, but because of the scenes. Again, it's the same thing of like they're stuck in a big building. So we're always only going to see this couple of rooms inside of the big building. So that over 24 episodes is a lot. Concrete
walls for days.
Yeah. So you don't even really get much of a visual difference. You're not getting a story difference. You're also not getting a visual difference. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it does.
Yeah. And I feel like if this was a one cour anime, like if they had just done one cour and then wrapped up a storyline and then waited and done a whole nother cour separate, I feel like it would have been better. I don't know. Even though we split it up and watched it in 2 segments, I feel like the team needed a break.
I agree. Yeah, I can see where you're coming from for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was good.
Yeah.
Not great, but it was good.
It was fine. It's a fine anime to watch. I just feel like there's better sports animes out there.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
So that everything?
I think so.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for listening. We appreciate it. Socials, BradCarter VO or BradCarterGaming, depending on where you look. BlueLavanders, wherever you look. And BnB Anime, wherever you look. Also, www.bnbanime.com and YouTube/BnB Anime. We're in the places. You can find us there. And yeah, future projects coming soon. And with that, thank you all so much for listening, and we'll catch you next time. Love you. Bye.